if you know what we did in 2019, I think you are golden. But I don't know if it matters necessarily, just because, and that's because of the Beatles. That's not because of the Bluecoats. That's what we learned. That's something Michael Rayford taught me through this process. He had done set design for a few ballet companies, interpretation of The Wizard of Oz. And what he taught me, when I would get cold feet in 2019, I would very privately get like, just I'd have my band director concerns about like, how are the Beatles going to be perceived? How will the, right? Stuff that I don't worry about now. And he was always great about educating me as to when you do something like the Beatles, it's like doing The Wizard of Oz. There is something the audience inherently is going to bring to that, a memory, a feeling, right? And the Beatles just do that. And so that's why if you know what we did in 2019, awesome. If you don't, cool. But the idea would be, we kind of left you where Sergeant Pepper shut the door, right, and said goodbye after Hey Jude. And even if you think about the way we ended the original, I loved our original ending. We did this really cool, was the song The End. And I remember when I saw it in Detroit, I found Jim Moore afterwards and I was crying. And I said, I miss our ending already. And it's the first time I've seen it in a show, because I understand in drum corps that you got to blah, blah, blah. But I think we were all like, oh. So I would imagine we'll have something in there like that where we can, in some way, kind of say goodbye to 2019, And again, I think this could be cathartic for drum corps fans, not just in a drum corps fan way, where you can connect with like life before this thing that happened to us. But then the idea is essentially, and we're going to repurpose some of the things we have. We're trying to set a good example fiscally, because when you're with any drum corps, you got to know, I get this because I teach in Avon. I know what's emulated. And so we always try to be keenly aware of like, hey, if we build like a big thing, that's going to be something people are going to be into. So there's going to be a repurposing of some of the scenic design we had. It's fiscally smart for us. It's incredibly effective. And I hope it sends them the message to music educators I want, which is coming out of the pandemic. We don't have to go nuts. We can be smart about this. And essentially, you're going to see us leave Sergeant Pepper's world, and we're now going to experience 10, 12 minutes of our life through the lens of Kaleidoscope Eyes, of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And we just were fascinated by the simple notion of, and we put it in the trailer, Vanderkoff worked, we all worked a lot on that. But the idea of his kid brings home this painting and, and then says, oh, that's Lucy in the Sky, which anybody who's had a little kid, they say stuff like that. And then, but he's John Lennon. So it's like, oh, that's great. And then he writes it too. And so there's even anybody who watches the trailer, to me, it's obvious, but it's because I've known it. There's an Easter egg in there. And I couldn't tell you what second it's at, but it's Greg Lagola's costume sketch of Lucy with all of it. And so it's a trip. And that's just a sketch. When you see that like in like real life, and so there's an example of something. I don't know if we would have done that before, but that's a little place of us being more transparent. So now anybody who sees this, boom, you find it. That's like the initial sketch of what our Lucy's going to look like. And so in Act 1, we had kind of these spirit guides that led you through the show, whether it was Sergeant Pepper or Eleanor Rigby, right? Or the beautiful blackbird with the cage. We had those various things. Now it's all going to be through the lens of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. But there's also, we have several of our soloists from that show who had some pretty cool moments that, like, I'd like to think of them as characters that we're bringing back as well. I think there's going to be some wailing trumpets that you're going to go like, I remember that guy. You know what I mean? And so we want to try in every way to hit the folks that are coming in for the first time and the folks that have just been missing this freaking activity as much as I have.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of information, obviously, to break down. But I mean, the Easter egg you mentioned, the drawing, it kind of mirrors exactly what you guys did in 2019 when you came out with your show concept, and we got to see Sergeant Pepper, I believe, the illustration on night one, and then the costuming was dramatic, quite a dramatic reveal that night. But I'm sure Lucy is probably not the only dramatic costuming we're
No,
going to
no,
see
there will
in the
be,
field.
yeah, the costumes will not be repurposed. We'll have a new look for that, and I'm not going to
Mhm.
give that away, but like that, it'll be cool, and